That being said, let's bring in our friend from Birds 365, co-host of that show, our friend Zander Krause. They get the win, Zander. Big Z's with us now. They get the win.
1-0, baby. 1-0 this week, and that's the best you can be. So I'm happy. Good look. Travel 4,000 miles still for a home game. So you come out of there with a win. I think that's a good thing. And by the way, you came out of there healthy. No big injuries to any big players. So overall, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Definitely some stuff to clean up, no doubt. But you get the win, Big Sills.
Absolutely. Your quick takeaway, though, on what you saw. First, start with the defense.
Defense impressed me, honestly. I mean, look, you talk about those turnovers. 2 of them came in our own zone, and you only give up 6 points there. That's a huge turn in that game. If the Packers go up 14-0 there, this is a different football game. So I think that was huge there. I mean, you only give up 29 points in the game with 3 turnovers total. So overall, I thought they were impressive. Zach Baum was impressive. I thought Nakobe Dean, I was wrong last week. I said he was either going to be great or he was going to be burnt toast. I thought he was right in the middle. I thought some plays he was great. I thought he played really good downfield when he needed to get downfield. I thought he struggled in coverage, but overall, I thought he was all right. Defensive line was nowhere. I mean, talk about the freaking milk carton for a second. That's where we are with that defensive line and Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, those guys as well. John says he's giving him a mulligan. It's the NFL. I don't like to give mulligans in the NFL, but at the end of the day, the field was shitty. Both defensive lines struggled to get pressure. So that's something we're going to have to watch in terms of the D-line, but definitely concerning when you look at those snap counts with Bryce Huff and Brandon Graham gets more snaps than him. I think that's definitely something to be concerned about. Probably the most concerning part of the defense after that game was that defensive line. And then the secondary I thought was great. I mean, they didn't even throw to Darius Slay, which is a good sign. We were worried about him coming into the year. Is he 34? Is Father Time going to catch up with him? Boom, they don't even throw it. They threw one ball his way. Quinyon Mitchell, I thought, answered the call. He got beat a couple times, but nothing crazy. I thought he looked really good. Avonte Maddox was he was probably –
And CJ. They were both –
CJ Gardner-Johnson struggled. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. I rewatched that game tape. He struggled in this game. He did not look good at all. I don't think it's anything to be concerned about yet, but he didn't look good. And then Reed Blankenship was great, by the way. He was awesome. So overall, I thought it was good. Avonte Maddox was the one guy who I thought really struggled on defense. And then the defensive line. I mean, I got questions there. Flipping it over to the offense, you put up 34 points and turn the ball over 3 times. Shit, if this team cleans it up, how good can we be? If you don't turn the ball over 3 times, are you a 40? You have 40 points on that board in that game? You have 45, 50 points in that game? I mean, so as much as I didn't like the turnovers, as much as they bothered me more than many in the chat. Many people are like, it's week 1. I don't care. I cared. I thought they were – forget the turnovers. Forget turning the ball over in week 1 because most quarterbacks do it in week 1. Why are you, a veteran quarterback in the league, who's been to a Super Bowl, who's making $51 million, making the decision to throw across your body into triple coverage when you're up by 5 and all you need to do is a field goal to take 8 points, to take an 8-point lead? That's just bad decision making. That's not rust. That's just bad decision making. So that part of it really bothered me with Jalen, but I think he will clean it up. I think he's aware of it. But that was definitely the one concerning part on offense. And then the Saquon Barkley show. I mean, outside of that 34-yard run and the touchdowns, he wasn't tremendous. I think he averaged like 3 yards a carry if you took out that big run. But that's not – we signed Saquon for the impact. And he made those impact plays when we needed them. So he looked like a great addition to this football team and almost makes us impossible to cover. So overall, I thought I had really positive takeaways. I mean, there's week 1. There's some stuff to clean up without a doubt. But overall, you get out of there 1-0. And that's a good thing.
Like you said about Barkley, you take the rest of it out. The 2 impact plays he made down the sideline with the catch in the air and then that 34-yard run. Those are impact plays you're talking about.
That's what I said. I mean,
he's like Kyle Schwarber.
He's like Kyle Schwarber. He said 3 TDs isn't an impact. Zeel, I said the opposite. I said outside of those 3 plays, he averaged 3 yards a carry, but signed him for the impact. You misheard me there, Zeel. But
he heard what you wanted him to hear.
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you my concerns. I'm more concerned about the late throws than I am about even more
Right.
so the interceptions and the turnovers. But I mean, to me, dude, he's late on throws because he's struggling with all the things again that
Right.
he has to do in progression reading. And Xander, nobody can dispute this number here. In the last 18 games, he's got 23 turnovers. We're now getting into a point where people want to go back and say, I remember him in 22 being an MVP candidate. So be it. Well, let's do this. This guy has more turnovers in the last 18 games than he does games played is a problem. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, look, I think look, I understand your point. I do think you're embellishing it slightly. You
okay.
look at Josh Allen, he's got 19 turnovers in his last 18 games. So Jalen has turned the ball over too much, and there's no doubt he
But
has
he's
to.
the only guy on that huddle. And what I'm saying is he has to carry that team because there's nothing else in that huddle. You
Well,
have all that talent. How can you have all those turnovers with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, the offensive line? Allen's got none of that. He's a one-man tambourine show up there in Buffalo. This guy here has all that talent. Why are you turning the ball over so high?
no, look, I see what you're saying. It's tough for me to dispute what you're saying. Turning the ball over is not a winning formula, not a championship formula in the NFL. I think any knowledgeable fan will understand that. But it is week one. The fumble, I don't know what happened there. Communication, right? So, but that wasn't entire. That wasn't like a Jalen made a bad play. It was miscommunication with the center, and that forced a fumble and a turnover. So, isolate those two interceptions. I don't even care about the late throws, Sills, because, like you said, it's a new offense. It's Kellen Moore. You're going to have you're going to have some late throws, especially when you get acclimated to a new offense. But when you're on your back foot in your own end zone and you throw a flutter ball up the middle, like that's forget being late. It's one thing to be late and throw an interception. That's just a terrible decision. When you're up, like I said earlier, you're up 5 going into the fourth quarter, and all you need to do is take a field goal and you chuck it back across your body into triple coverage, and Jair Alexander's right there to pick it off. That's just bad decision making. So being late doesn't bother me. It's the stuff that, as John points out, is a cardinal sin for a quarterback that bothers me. And you got to clean that up. There's no excuse for that. I don't care if it's week 1 or week 20. There's no excuse for that crap. So hopefully he can clean it up, and I think he will. I think, on the bright side, the silver lining is, you put up 34 points. You got 3 turnovers. A.J. Brown has a touchdown. Saquon Barkley has 3. How good can this offense be if they have a clean game? The potential is insane, and I think they showed it in week 1.
Did I not say that they were going to get, or Jalen was going to have, a bumpy start to this season? I said that on Friday to you. I go, this is not going to be as smooth as you think it's going to be because there's more responsibility. And one of the things, too, was communication. People are going like, well, that was on Cam. No, it was on the whole entire operation of a smooth operation. That's on Kellen Moore. That's on Nick. That's on the organization. Not having any kind of game reps whatsoever and communicating in a game situation. You're going to go like this. Somebody said this, like you said, Xander, you go on Friday, you go, what's a couple plays going to mean in an exhibition game? Well, I'll tell you what, one thing's for sure. First couple plays of the game in Brazil costed a turnover because they weren't playing on the same page and communicating. A snap count, a center and a quarterback are not on the same page. The center snapped the ball too soon. It's clearly on him. But the center had to try. One thing is for sure. There's no doubt that they've revamped that tush push. They got people behind Hurts now pushing him. I don't know if I like that. Because a year ago with the tush push, it was Kelsey and Jalen, and nobody was pushing him. You want a 200, 300-pound guy behind Jalen Hurts pushing him into a pile like that to try to get those yards? Xander, I think they need to rethink that there, because you're going to get your quarterback injured doing shit like that. That's not how they ran that tush push the last couple of years with Jason Kelsey. Can you imagine falling back behind his knees and getting him a hyperextended knee like that?
No, you're
Putting
right.
two guys behind him pushing. When I first saw that, I'm like, wow, they changed the dynamic of that thing a little bit. And you could tell Jeff Stoutland didn't have the same confidence in Juergens, because when they tried to do it on third down, they didn't get it, if you remember right. Then they had an offsides with the Packers, so they didn't go back to it again. I don't know, man. If I want to have people behind Hurts' knees in that push.
Look, I think that I always thought that the tush push would somewhat die a little bit without Jason Kelce. It wasn't as effective. We'll see what they end up doing with it, but you're right. I mean, how much risk are you willing to take, with your $50 million quarterback? Because if he gets hurt, our season is effectively over. I don't care what you think of Kenny Pickett. It's not happening. So I'm with you on it. I think it's a risky business to be doing it, but we're going to see what ends up happening. By the way, 1 second, Sills. I'm going to reset my connect. Is my connection all right? Because I'm going in and out.
Going in and out a little bit, yeah.
I want to fix it.
All right, go ahead, reset it there. Go ahead, reset it. All good. All right. Don't forget, folks, Angelo Cataldi will be with us also at 4:30. Yeah, guys, when I saw the dynamic that they were doing with the tush push, I was like this. So they're putting, hey, guys, so it's AJ and Dallas Goedert behind Jalen Hurts now in the tush push. That's not how that dynamic was set up before. That thing wasn't set up like that before. So I got a small issue here with that thing. And yeah, so let's see if we got a better connection here with our friend Zander there. Yeah, so yeah, I got you, brother. Good. Got another question for you. Or maybe even more of a statement, Zander. I'm ready to say this to you. Well, I got to tell you, man, AJ Brown, I think he has more impact on your football team than Owens. I think he's a more impactful player than Owens.
Yeah, he's pretty unbelievable, Sills.
I mean,
dude, he made
23 yards a catch.
And Sills, look at the size of him and how fast he moved. That corner's 35, 40 pounds lighter than AJ Brown. He couldn't even get close. He couldn't even gain a stride on AJ Brown on that 67-yard touchdown. He's an unbelievable player. We are blessed to have a receiver like that in Philadelphia. I'm happy Hurts continues to find him, but what a player he is, man. He is a special player, a special talent. He's an athletic freak, and he delivered, no doubt about it.
How about this one too? And then you got the guy on the other side. When you need yards, you know who you throw to? Throw to Devontae. I mean, isn't he like all reliable?
Yeah, he really is. He helped ice that game. Dude. Yeah, he helped ice that game.
Have you been shocked, or were you shocked with Barkley's impact?
I wouldn't say I'm shocked with it. No, I thought he was going to be great, and I think it works well because when he was with the Giants, he was great. But at the end of the day, when you're a defensive coordinator, all you game planned for was Saquon. Now you're in Philly, you can't even get to Saquon until you're three or four takeaways into the defense, right? You got to take away AJ. You got to deal with Devontae Smith. You got to deal with Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley's like an added feature right now, and he can't be the first priority because if you're going to take away Saquon, that means AJ Brown's going to cook you. So I think it works so well. And by the way, you have one of the best offensive lines in the league now that Barkley's running behind. So no doubt. I mean, look, I'm not surprised by it. I'm a little concerned with how many touches he had there. How long,
he's on pace. He's on pace right now for over 400 carries.
Do we want to ride him that much, early, that often? That's
but you needed him, and you needed those carries to win that game.
Right. No, you're right. We definitely did. I mean, and John pointed that out this morning. He had 19 carries, and then coming into that last drive where they were trying to ice the game, he had 8. So, that kind of makes up for that difference there. If they probably wanted them at 19. It all depends on how each game is going with how many carries he's going to get. But I do worry about, 26, 28 touches. I think he had 28 touches with the 2 receptions. Is that something that will last? I'm not trying to, I don't know. I'm not trying to say that Saquon's not going to make it. I'm just saying that's a little bit concerning when you talk about any guy in the NFL getting that many touches they're going to get banged up. And he runs hard and with his head down. So, with his shoulder down, kind of runs through guys a little bit sometimes. So, I'm a little bit concerned about how many touches he had and how long that will last.
How about this one? Hurts is on pace for 222 carries.
Yeah,
13 carries in week 1.
Too many.
And I do not believe – well, they needed those wheels of his too, because in the second half, his running ability, Zander, was the reason they won that game. The way that he kept those drives going with his wheels, it was good actually to see it. It was good actually to see that he was able to run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, look, I thought he did look a little slower in moments, but this is where
there's some people saying that he doesn't look as athletic as he did a couple of years ago.
Well, I wonder if that's a toll from, taking so many hits in the NFL. That's how it works. You're not going to be the explosive guy you were when you were 19, 20, 21 years old.
You think he's as explosive?
He had 3 turnovers, and then I look at the passing yards, and I talked about him setting a record for, his passing yards this year with almost 4,500. He's on pace for a crazy passing number too. So like JM says, it's not linear. Each game has its own identity, and we're going to have to see how it continues to develop. But I would agree with you that I don't want to see him running that much. I think when you have the amount of weapons you have the running back, you have the wide receivers, just get that ball out, man. I don't want, unless it's a moment where you need it to win the game like he did late in that game. I don't want to see him run that much.
How about this? Well, I mentioned this to you on the post-game show. How odd was it to see Nick Sirianni nowhere near any communicating with Jalen Hurts at all in that ball game? Nowhere did they have any type of communication for a guy that was communicating with him his entire career. That had to look by design, Zander, that he had no say whatsoever in communicating with the quarterback, because maybe they did at halftime. I don't know. I wasn't in there. But it was the quarterback coach and it was the offensive coordinator that were dealing with him solely, and that was it. And there were some players. Nick was talking to everybody else but him. Did you find that weird?
I did. I thought it was very weird. And I think you pointed it out, and I realized it on the show. Actually, I saw you tweet it during the game, and then I started to really look for it. Yeah, I mean, it looks like they took Nick out of his ear completely. Nick is now the CEO, head coach, and you're not the guy who's communicating with the quarterback, in game. And it's just not his role anymore. I don't know why that is. I mean, we've talked about it all offseason. We don't really know. We can only speculate on what happened that's the case. But it doesn't bother me that much. You know what? I think Kellen's better served to do it. I like Doug Nussmeier, the quarterback's coach. I think he seems to be pretty solid. I think he can teach Jalen some things, and I'm good with the setup. But you're right. I mean, it is definitely a difference from last year.
I want to put Hurts in a category with everyone else, and I want to show you something here. I thought Josh Allen was sensational against Arizona, 137.7 rating in the game, 4 TDs.
Yeah,
him, good. And then you go like this. Derek Carr had 3 TDs, 200 yards. Stroud, 234. God, can he throw? I mean, he looks better this year.
Stroud's unbelievable, man.
There
is no CJ Stroud this year, no doubt. I mean, I thought all the rookies.
Yeah, they did struggle. Oh, my God, Caleb Williams was terrible. 2 at 338.
Shamari Tate must be new here. He says, Zander comes on the show to kiss Dan's ass. Have a backbone, kid. Shamari, I got more of a backbone than you'll ever dream of having in your life. You must be new here.
Sam Darnold, 208. I mean, dude, Joe Burrow looked terrible.
Joe Burrow was brutal, Sills. Brutal. We need to talk about it because you've been crowning the guy. He looked brutal.
He did.
Brutal.
And don't tell me that's Jamar Chase.
And he wasn't even under pressure. Terrible. I mean, he just looked awful out there. He doesn't look the same. And I think people in Cincinnati are wondering what the hell's going on. I mean, look, we're concerned with Jalen Hurts' 3 turnovers. He didn't look as bad as that guy. Jalen made plays. The problem with Jalen this week was that his highs were highs and his lows were lows. So you got to get those lows a little bit higher. But Joe Burrow was, I mean, he couldn't even put up.
Why it's horrible, Zander? He's in the same freaking offense with Zach Taylor. Jalen's in a brand new offense, new terminology. We said it. There's going to be there's going to be up and downs. at the beginning of the year, you kind of know that. There's no excuse for Joe Burrow to play like that.
No,
There's
you're
just
right.
absolutely no excuse. I mean, and then you turn around and look at Dak. I'm going to make a point here. 19 of 32. All right. I mean, if you really look at it, Allen and maybe CJ and Tua, the rest of them, I don't know. I didn't really think Jared Goff played superstar ball. He had 200 yards, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, so
yeah. I mean, look, it was
like
week one.
first
So
week.
I think a lot of people looked like it was week one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more talking about all the quarterbacks look like it was week one. The big name quarterbacks. I'll tell you who really looked good? Baker Mayfield. Let me throw a question at you here. Who do you think Cleveland would rather have right now, quarterback right now, Deshaun Watson or Baker Mayfield?
Shit, Baker Mayfield looked great yesterday. So I think I don't know what the hell happened to Deshaun Watson, man. It's crazy. And did you see the one video?
That's a confidence look.
I know, but who's that? The veteran offensive lineman they have who was on the ground and jumped on a fumble from Deshaun Watson, and Watson goes over to help him up, and Petonio like whacks his hand away. They seem to have a bunch of problems there in Cleveland. So
I don't think they believe in him.
No, they don't. But there seems to be deeper problems there than just the player. I mean, look, this is a guy who was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL not that long ago. So what happened? It's got to be something deeper than just I forgot how to play. I don't think he forgets how to play. So interesting, but a big demise there in Cleveland, and they're going to have to eat that contract for a couple more years, no doubt.
How about this? And this is what I said at the top. And isn't it funny? Okay, well, let me hear you. Give the Eagles a grade in your mind on what you think they played like. Me, I think they played like a C-, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But what do you
Eagles?
think? Yeah.
No, I don't have C-. I thought closer to a B, somewhere in there. A lot of room for improvement, but I thought the defense was better than expected.
Well, there's not a lot of room for improvement. If you gave him a B, me at C-.
Well, no,
I think there is a ton of room, and that you won a game at a C- level. You're talking about winning a game at a B.
I mean,
that's not a lot of room for improvement.
There's still plenty of room for improvement. I can get to a B plus.
Don't you see where I'm at?
I see what you're saying. I'm not knocking you for it. I just think when you put up 34 points with 3 turnovers, you have a better performance than a C. Did they have things they need to clean up? No doubt. But we beat the Packers pretty. We beat up on them in terms of how many points we put on the board, and we have a lot left a lot on the table.
And you gave up 400 yards in total offense.
Yeah, but that's we
did say this together.
Yeah,
hey, yeah, we did. We said
yards.
that.
It's a bend but don't break day. You're going to give up yards.
Yep.
So, I can't look. We talked about that, with the yards. How about the 6 points they gave up when it should have been 14-0? That's
the game. That's what won that game. I'll tell you this. I think Vic, and this is where I think maybe John and I are at opposite ends with this, because I think that John thought that defense would play better. I didn't. I was shocked they played that well, actually. Because I was
shocked by the defensive line. I thought the defensive line was going to have their way versus the Packers O-line. They didn't end up doing it. And, both D lines were they didn't do much in the game. So I don't know if we're chalking it up to the field or whatever. But
a little of that.
Yeah, a little of it. But like I said, it's the NFL, man. You can't just use that as an overwhelming.
They both played on it.
For everything. Right. So, but the defensive line didn't do anything. In the game at all. Bryce Huff was absolutely nowhere. We put him on the milk carton. They got to be better, but the no holes defense didn't disappoint me this week.
How about this? Are you concerned about the 2 DTs? Because a lot of investment of 2 first rounders. I mean, it's one thing to sit there and say that the Green Bay Packers also gave some yards up. They don't have 2 ones in the middle there invested. You got a 9th pick and a 13th pick. And get this, Zander, if you're going to go back for the last 10 games, they're averaging giving up 139 yards a game rushing. That can't happen, dude.
Well, how many yards did we give up rushing on Friday?
I think it was 163.
Rushing yards?
Yeah.
No way.
I thought it was like 163 that they gave up.
Let me look real quick, just because I want to.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm
wrong. You were. I think you're honestly wrong. I'm not even bashing.
Or did they give up 144?
I do think it was much less than that, but let me look real quick just to see where we are on the 163. You're right.
They gave up
See,
163.
I was thinking more Josh Jacobs, who only had 84 yards, but you had that Jaden Reed run for 33 yards, and Emmanuel Wilson had 4 carries for 46
They
yards.
gave up 163.
Yeah, 163. So Big Sills is correct, no doubt. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of rushing yards given up. So I'm a little concerned on the DTs. I thought, like I said, I'm not ready to make the proclamation after week 1, but they were nowhere to be found. And going into the game, I had Jalen Carter as being the difference maker, the X factor for the Eagles to win the game. It certainly wasn't him. It wasn't him. It wasn't Jordan Davis. Is conditioning going to be a problem again with these Georgia guys?
They were.
It wasn't week 1. So
get this, in the second half, they pointed it out. Josh Jacobs was averaging 9 yards a carry in the second half against the Eagle D line.
Yeah, he came out swinging in that second half for sure, no doubt.
I mean, there's a problem when Brandon Graham is playing more snaps than Bryce Huff and then Nolan Smith. I mean, that's not going to lie.
I agree.
To me, you know what happened? I think that Vic went like this. I can't trust them guys setting the edge, and they put Brandon out there, and he did. I thought he played better than anything they had out there. But boy, I'll tell you what, they had to go to the old dog to kind of calm it down just a little bit and slow it down.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, it's definitely a little bit of a concern. We got to see those guys get better and continue to play. But I'm not worried about them yet. Look, week 1, I'm giving them a little bit of a hall pass here. I know I am. You don't have to. I am though, and I think they're going to turn it around for sure.
You think? Okay, I just see again. I give people credit.
I'm not giving the pass to because he wasn't even on the field. They didn't even want him on the field. Like, what does that tell you about Vic Fangio's feeling on Bryce Huff?
He knows he's not a 3-down guy.
I said it to John, and John's like, BG had 1 more snap than him, and Nolan had 2 more snaps than him, or whatever it was. And I'm like, John, this is a guy that got $17 million.
$51 million.
This isn't Brandon Graham on his retirement tour making $3.5 million. This isn't Nolan Smith who's done nothing yet in the league. This is a guy who got paid. You're telling me now our only projection for him is going to be 45% of the snaps? And then other people were like, well, they didn't have as many passing downs to get him out there, and they had the short fields a couple of times. And I'm like, okay, great. So you're admitting we paid $17.5 for a one-trick pony who's not even going to see the field on half of our snaps because they're not passing downs. That's trouble, in my opinion. I don't know what Bryce Huff is going to be. Hopefully he can turn it on, because I do remember, you got to give him some time, because I will say, if you remember when Hassan Reddick was signed, it took him, I think, 6 weeks
absolutely
to get going. I remember putting him on the milk carton, on your show, and you were rightfully so to call him out, but he got going. And once he got going, man, was he good. So I do want to give him a little bit of time, but that snap count was definitely a little bit concerning to me. By the way, speaking of Hassan Reddick, man, you're giving up $800,000 a game right now, plus a $5 million fine for everything you missed. Who is advising him?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's insanity.
It's
Get this. You want to hear something?
I want to see all these players win. I want to see them all get their money, and I just don't understand. He's either getting terrible advice from his agent, or he's blatantly not listening to his agent.
Listen what you've done. Say you sign a deal for $20 million right now, today. You ready for this? You've already surrendered $6 million. Say you get 20. You're back to the 14 that you were making anyway this year. If you sign next week.
It's incredible.
And if you keep going on, pretty soon you're going to be playing for free. I mean, dude, this is not going well financially. What was that guy? Le'Veon Bell. You remember when Le'Veon Bell pulled that bullshit in Pittsburgh, where that guy he threw like $18 million in the trash can. They lit it on fire.
And he got paid. And he got paid from the Jets and then did absolutely nothing.
Exactly. They moved him, and then the guy didn't see the grass greener on the other side, and he's out of the league now.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
And that's money you'll never get back.
Never.
You'll never get it back. So I just don't understand, what he's doing. Like I said, I like to see all the players make their money, man. Go and make your money. I love it. I love seeing them. Huh?
Even Dak?
Don't bother me, man. Look.
$240 million, babe.
I know, but the analysis of the football team is different than what I'm talking about right now. Like when the players get paid, I think it's a great thing. I mean, it's reaching a crazy level. Quarterbacks getting $60 million a year, but good for them, man. These are guys that, they're making good money. They're entertaining the whole world in a way. And it doesn't bother me to see him get paid. I'm happy for Dak because shit, man. Now we got Dak in Dallas for a little bit longer. He's a good quarterback, but he doesn't win there. They don't win. They haven't been a threat in the playoffs since he's been there, and he's been there for 8 years.
You know what I would tell you, Zander, if I was him? Hey, I'll see you on Tuesday on direct deposit day.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Zander, what's your definition
in that game?
What's your definition of winning? Because I'll tell you what my definition is of winning on Tuesday on direct deposit, homeboy.
That's good.
Okay. Oh, hey,
I'm not that lucky though, man. I just analyzed the game, and I don't make anywhere close to 60 million. So
I'd have to rob Fort Knox to get that dough. Hey, dude, those 2 tackles being out, Mike Zimmer moved that guy to every deficiency they had in the offensive line, and Michael Parsons was everywhere. I'll tell you what, though, as good as he was, T.J. Watt destroyed the Atlanta Falcons. He single-handedly destroyed the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins was awful.
Kirk Cousins was brutal. Kirk Cousins was brutal. You know who was great in their game yesterday?
Bijan.
Well, no, not that game. I'm talking about a different game real quick. Micah Parsons. Oh, man. He was a problem yesterday, Sills. I was laughing because me and John had the debate kind of all off season where I'm like, look, he's a great player. I don't think he's a generational talent. And then he goes out there and he just terrorized that offensive line. And I was just like, oh boy. I mean, he's going to get paid next. And classic Jerry, right, to wait to the last second, extract as much media out of it as he can, and then give him the top dollar. So no, but you're right. TJ Watt was a beast yesterday. Kirk Cousins sucked. Joe Burrow was my big takeaway. He sucked yesterday. He was tough to watch. I mean, I had that game on. I'm like, this is tough to watch.
Yeah.
So no doubt, but yeah.
Finally, Quinyon Mitchell, give him a grade.
Quinyon Mitchell, I'll give him a B plus. Give him a B plus. I thought he was pretty. Look, it's his first game in the NFL, right? There's going to be some acclimation period, and I thought he answered the call pretty well. I love the energy he had out there. I love the smack talk he had. You got to back it up, but he did, I thought, especially on Watson and that start of the game there on that first drive. But I think we got one in Quinyon Mitchell, man. I think we got a guy that could be an all-pro type of corner here. Obviously, too early to say that yet, but I think Quinyon Mitchell. I think we got one at cornerback, and I think we're in good hands for years to come. And by the way, I was happy with Slay. I was a little concerned on Slay. Not that I thought he wasn't going to be great or was going to suck, but I was just concerned Father Time was going to hit him. He didn't have his greatest season last year, and they didn't even throw at him. No. Like that tells you they were just the whole game plan was just avoid Darius Slay. So I thought that was a good thing for sure. Flexion, you've been saying no play Slay, but my man, no plays yesterday Friday because they didn't even throw at him. They didn't even try.
They didn't test him. They didn't test him at all.
They didn't even test him. I think he had one target.
That's crazy that they didn't have that. So
and A brings up a good point too. Slay forced that fumble. Eagles did not recover it, but he did force that fumble on Josh Jacobs, which was good to see because we've had problems with him in the tackling game, so that was good.
Jalen Hurts, baby. Jalen Hurts, 58% completion percentage in week 1.
He got to be better. He also threw for 278, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 13
Sounds like that.
Yeah.
Hey, here's what I'll say finally in parting. I'll say this to you, Zander. He plays good enough to win games for sure. But does he play enough to win championship football?
Well, look, we were on the brink. He's got some things to clean up. So I think championship football is not turning the ball over. So, he's got to clean that up. But if he does, I think we're right there, man. I think he can do it. And this team is good enough around him. This isn't a Patrick Mahomes situation. This isn't a Josh Allen situation where we need him to be Superman. We don't. We need him to not turn the ball over and get the ball, on time and on target.
No,
we're not asking him
to be who he is, Clark Kent. That's
right.
all he has to be. Absolutely.
So
thank you very much for saying that. He's Clark Kent. He'll never be Superman, but
I didn't
Clark
say that.
Kent,
I said he doesn't have to be in this offense.
that's what I heard. Hey, by the way, I want to thank everybody for coming aboard on the pre and post game show this past weekend. You guys were absolutely sensational, man. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it here. Had a bunch of people on, man, with us, and it was awesome. I was pleasantly surprised by all the folks that came in and were ready to rock and roll. And everyone's like, oh, I see. It's a different setup doing a post-game show than it is doing this thing here, because you're more apt to go out there and confirm your takes like, dude, I told you the kid would have a bunch of issues getting out of the gate. We saw it. Now, like I said, I think they got a lot of room for improvement. I do think that offense will improve, Zander. I do think it'll improve with more reps. I thought that game against Green Bay, Zander, was a rep issue. I didn't really think it was a talent issue. It was a rep issue, just not having game reps.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I think they're going to clean it up. By the way, the post game was tremendous. Loved doing it with you and Johnny Mac. Great results. I thought we had great number of views, great number of people in the chat. We had a lot of people contributing with super chats and all sorts of support for the channel. So that goes a long way. Obviously,
New members
on the air. Yeah, new members. And then our, I don't know if you caught it at all, but when I let you go, Sills, I had some fans on the show, and they did not disappoint. Senor says my last guest was phenomenal, and he was none other than Akbar, who was on the show. Akbar was a little boozed up in his man cave.
Nice.
He joined the show. Oh man, he was in rare form, Akbar. And he was so it was great, man. We had a lot of fun on the post game show. I enjoyed doing it and appreciate each and every one of you guys if you were there for being on the show. Abe was on as well. We had a couple other guys who were on that I don't remember everybody's name right now, but we had a bunch of people on, and it was a great time.
Angelo's coming up. I wonder what he's gonna say. He picked.
I'm gonna go get the pot. My pot in the kitchen. I'm gonna go and do something to catch a crow, baby, because we gotta cook up some stew for Angelo, man. Come on. He said this team was gonna get walloped by the Green Bay Packers. That did not happen at all. And this team is not winning 5 games, bro.
No, they're not.
Sills. Let's just think about that.
I'm not getting off.
They got to play the Giants and the Commanders 2 times each.
I still think 9 wins.
You got to play the Falcons, the Saints, the Cowboys twice, the Bengals, the Ravens. I mean, dude, 5 games. You better tell Angelo that he's on that retirement crack. And that's is strong, because 5 games is absurd.
He's coming down. He's coming on at the bottom of the hour.
I can't wait to listen to it, no doubt. Where's Akbar? Is he in here in the chat, man? Akbar was great.
Hey, where are we right now?
Shamari, I want to say, Shamari, thank you for your service, brother, but I didn't appreciate your comments, so I clapped back at you. He's a veteran, though, and I love our veterans. My brother's a veteran. I care a lot about our veterans, so I did want to apologize to him, but he came in here dishing me, and I'm like, me and Sills debate 3 times a week. What are you talking about, Shamari?
Absolutely, Shamari.
But anyway, I appreciate your service, man.
Very good. Where are we in the like list right now, Zander? Guys, please hit the like button.
Flexen, you're delusional, Flexen. You're delusional.
No, hey, Flexen, I got 2 more wins than you do. I got 9 wins here. So where are we, Zander, in the like list before we take a time out here?
There's my man Akbar. Akbar was a legend. I mean, he was
Akbar, man, rocking and rolling.
Akbar, I might have to have you on weekly after the games, man, on the post game show. You might have to be a weekly contributor to the post game show, because he was in rare form. Big Sills. By the way, I did post that segment on the channel if you guys want to go watch it. It was really
sauced
great.
Up too.
Yeah, he was sauced up.
Good. Dude, by the way, my drinking was impaired on Friday because I couldn't. So I was, I've
never heard a guy. I'm concerned for Sills, everybody. I've never heard a guy cry so much over not being able to drink for 18 days of the year. I mean, come on, Sills. It's not like I'm asking you to go 6 months here. It's 18 days of a year. And we got to do a post-game show. I mean, come on, man.
I got it, man. So what are we at, around 250? That's really good here, man. We really appreciate that.
Let me check for you. Yeah, 259. So good stuff from everybody. Appreciate all the support in the chat right now.
Absolutely. Zander, great stuff. We'll catch you tomorrow on Birds 365.
All right, Sills. Thank you, brother. 1-0, baby. 1-0.
Angelo Cataldi right around the corner. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. You guys have been great. Will Angelo eat crow at the bottom of the hour? WIP, Philadelphia sports icon. Angelo Cataldi next here on the National Football Show.